Alex is joining us, and we're talking about a famous proposal, a cheesy celebration here today, and a successful movie franchise. Let's start with this. Oscar-winning actor and author Tom Hanks used a Texas Book Festival appearance to help a couple get engaged. Hanks spoke to hundreds of listeners about his new book, but at one point he told the crowd that he was bored taking their questions and wanted to ask one himself. Hanks then pulls out a piece of paper and said that a man in the crowd by the name of Ryan McFarling had a question for a woman named Nikki Young. Hanks said the question was, quote, "Nikki, will you marry me?" The couple went on stage and McFarling got down on one knee and gave Young a ring. Hanks then hugged the newly engaged couple and offered them his best wishes.
Okay, this is cool.
Way to go, Tom.
I know.
Well done.
I'm so glad that he was game for that. And he was like, totally down to do that. That's awesome. Isn't it?
My question is, like, think about, because asking, your spouse to, a lot of time, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, to marry you, that's a big deal. And I was pretty nervous when I asked my wife to marry me, and there was a lot of planning that went into that. So think about how hard it is for him to then get in contact with Tom Hanks, like his people, to even say, like, hey, can I borrow?
Do you mind?
Do you mind? You know what I mean? To get that piece of paper to him beforehand, and then, like, the whole plan.
And kind of awesome. Like, it also is good for Tom Hanks, too, because it's good for his book. It gets attention.
Yeah.
This gets more attention than it usually probably would have,
Yeah.
Well, it's smart on both ends here. But I would call him Tom Thanks from now on.
Tom Thanks.
If I were that couple. No?
He's been waiting all morning to say that.
He was salivating at the
I want to know if his shoes say Andy on the bottom. Like Toy Story. He voices Woody. So I want to know if he has a pair. Tom, tweet me if you can see this. I'd like your help with a proposal one day. I mean, I wouldn't be the one proposing, but
I get you. I get you.
I'll put that seed out there right now.
Yeah, I'll put it out there right now so that maybe a couple years down the line. But that's really cool. I love when celebrities do stuff like this. I don't know
And that's the thing, though, too.
He's a good sport.
He is a good sport, and I think I don't know the guy obviously, but his demeanor would suggest that he would be someone game for stuff like this.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that I do agree. I think right now this proposal might be getting a little bit more publicity than the actual book, because the book might be the afterthought right now, right? Because most people are talking about the proposal.
But I bet they bought that book.
Aha.
So
They probably did.
Yeah, probably huge fans of his to begin with.
he's a cool guy. I love Castaway.
Yeah.
Wilson.
I mean, Forrest Gump, back up a couple years.
He's got a lot. He's got a lot of good ones.
He does, but I haven't really seen anything he's been in recently, to be honest.
The last one I saw with Tom Hanks
Maybe because he's been busy writing a book.
Which is cool, too.
Sully, about remember the plane that landed in the Hudson River in New Jersey. That was a good film, too.
Yeah,
New
Jersey.
All right, guys, I got a question for you. What kind of cheese is not yours?
Nacho.
Nacho cheese. And today is National Nachos Day. According to legend, nachos were accidentally invented by a Mexican man named Anaya. He had to quickly come up with a snack after a group of hungry people showed up at his restaurant, and the only items in the kitchen were cheese and tortillas. So Anaya cut the tortillas into triangles and melted the cheese on top of the chips, and of course added a few jalapeno peppers for good measure. And Anaya's nickname, this is actually really cool, Anaya's nickname was Nacho, and his creation was named after him. So during the 1970s and 80s, nachos became a popular item at sporting events after they were first sold at Arlington Stadium, where the Texas Rangers played at the time.
I love nachos.
This is making me hungry, and all of those nachos look really good.
You know what I love about them is they're so versatile. You can have any kind of nachos, and like you can put whatever you want in there. If you like chicken, if you don't like meat, you can do that too. So it's always like a good appetizer for friends to share, I feel like, too.
It's definitely taking on a mind of its own.
I can't even think straight. I'm just watching this video. It looks so good.
When you're really hungry. The first time I actually had brisket nachos back in Ohio at a restaurant, and it changed my life.
Did it?
It changed my life.
Tell us
nachos, and it had brisket on it, and it had the cheese, but it had the barbecue sauce on there.
I have not had brisket.
Brisket nachos. They also come in pulled pork if you want that as well.
That really is switching up the nacho game there.
It changed my life. Seriously changed my life.
So where are we going to get nachos today, guys? That's the question of the day.
Well, let us know where there are good nachos in town.
That should be our poll question.
Well, sadly, it wasn't today, so maybe next time. But
Where
it's a
should
good
we go
question.
get some nachos?
Yeah, nachos.
Let us know anyway. Go to Facebook. Let us know. I still want to know. I love nachos. I liked your joke, too. It was a really good way to start that off. Really proud of her. Well, big news for you to marvel at today. Thor Ragnarok had a huge opening weekend. We just talked about this with Chuck on Friday, making $121 million opening over 4,000 screens this weekend. The previous Thor film only made $85 million, but this is a huge accomplishment for them. Marvel is the first studio to produce 3 $100 million openings in just 1 year.
Wow.
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
That is amazing. I mean, it's crazy how much success this has, because you think, like, especially since the second one, I mean, obviously it still did really well, but since the second one didn't do as well, you think it would maybe decrease, but it actually increased a lot. You know?
But Chuck did say it wasn't that good.
True, but that's an opinion. You know, we don't know. I didn't see it yet.
Yeah, and he said that Rotten Tomatoes gave it a really high rating, so...
See, I have a soft spot for these movies.
Personal opinion.
Yeah, I love these movies because obviously it's always going to be kind of good versus evil. Good probably wins, and I just love like the stories in these movies, and I love the character development they have. So I'm always going to probably be a fan of superhero movies.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on if you're into it like that. If you're a big follower of Marvel and you see this in the film, a lot of times this has a cult following, just like Star Wars. So whether or not the content and the storyline is that good, sometimes doesn't even really matter once it's action-packed and it's got the main characters down. I mean, he looks cool right there.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So...
No,
Alex.
you mean he looks hot.
What do you want me to say?
He looks hot, not cool.
No, I mean,
Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things where, like, I think people are going to go see it
Oh,
regardless.
yeah.
Well,
Totally.
and Chuck said this is more of kind of a satirical one, so it's kind of comedy. So that reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy, which is really successful. And then what's the one with Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool? That was also really satirical in its content.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so I feel like that's kind of the new superhero, like, funny type thing, where it's kind of more of like a, that's funny, as opposed to good versus evil. But
That makes sense.
yeah, I like these movies. I loved Wonder Woman, favorite.
That was good, too. That was Marvel.
Yeah. No, wait, that was DC.
It was not Marvel.
That's DC, and then I like Dark Knight, which is also DC. So Marvel's still my favorite, I think.
That's fair.
Overall. But
Central Illinois. Our Instant Connection poll is coming up, and today we want to know, do you guys enjoy Marvel movies?